Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us from Indianapolis, he's formerly in Berkeley, about to be in Ann Arbor, new head coach of the University of Michigan swim team. We're sitting down with Matt Bowe. Matt, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, Coleman.
Let's start with this Michigan hire. First of all, can you just take us through kind of the interview process, what it was like? I mean, obviously, I don't remember exactly when Bottom announced his retirement, but when did this job become an interest of you, especially after having just been at Cal for 1 year? And kind of like we were discussing off camera, it's like you have athletes you've been working with now, and you're a year out from the Olympic year. So what tipped the scales for you to go for this head coach job at Michigan?
Yeah, so I think, this job has been kind of a dream of mine, I'll be honest, ever since I moved to the US. So that area of Michigan was the first place that I moved to in the US. So my coaching journey in the US started at Eastern Michigan University, working with Peter Lynn there, and spent 3 years in that area. So I actually lived between Ypsilanti, where Eastern Michigan's campus is, and then Ann Arbor. So yeah, it was amazing kind of spending time around there back then, and just getting a feel for what the University of Michigan's about, and the pride that's associated with the university, with athletics, with academics, and so you kind of live and breathe it when you're there, and just. It's more than just the athletic teams. I mean, the University of Michigan's a global brand, and so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's recognized for so many different things, and so yeah, I kind of left there and just felt, in the back of my mind, I was like, this would be a pretty cool place to come back to, and to be able to lead a program, a storied program like the University of Michigan's kind of a dream come true. So yeah, it's kind of gone round in a circle, I guess, and back to that area. But no, I mean, like you say, the difficult thing is when you leave a program a year before the Olympic Games, it's always going to be bittersweet, because I've been working with athletes at Cal, and some of the best athletes in the world, and athletes that are getting ready for Paris next year. And I know we're here in Indy ready for World Championships, but it's always kind of one stepping stone and then on to the next. And in swimming terms, usually things revolve around an Olympic cycle. So yeah, there's athletes that I definitely feel like I would have loved to have seen through that extra year, but the timing of these jobs is never ideal. And I'm just really grateful that Dave has been so supportive. He when we sat down and Dave asked me to come to Cal, I was upfront with him. I talked about how I was ready to take on the job of a head coach, and I was excited about that. And I committed to 2 years at Cal, and I just said to Dave, with the caveat that if two jobs come up, then I'm going to find it hard to not go for those jobs, and one of those was the University of Michigan, with the obvious link of where I first moved to. And so Dave was just great. I mean, I think when he saw the retirement post for Mike, he knew that there was probably going to be a question following that. And no, I mean, I couldn't speak more highly of Dave, just the way he's gone about the process and really kind of helped me out. And he really gets it as a head coach. He understands that our job as a head coach is to help the people under us develop and teach them new skill sets, but also ultimately help them with getting the career they want in the future. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Which is, yeah, I'll speak to that last bit first. I mean, you look at not even Dave's resume as a head coach, but his resume as developing his assistants. And you look at, from the time he got to Cal, Greg Meehan, now head coach at Stanford. Yuri Sugiyama, now head coach at Wisconsin. Chase Kreitler, now head coach at Pitt. Now Matt Bowe, now head coach at Michigan. It's like,
it's pretty cool. Yeah. And
yeah,
he's just a genuine guy. He really does want to help you out. And I've just been grateful for the experience at Cal. I mean, it's an amazing team. Whether it's the athletes, the coaches, the parents. I mean, it's a huge family, and it's got a different feel to anywhere else I've worked. So I'm really grateful that I got to experience this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a national title, never hurts the experience. But and I'm sure that's not. Yeah. I know that's not what's the most important part. But it seems like it was a successful year. Hopefully for you in your career in coaching, it was a successful year too. Speaking of some of those athletes, I know this is not the forefront, but I am curious about Hunter Armstrong, and if you have any indication of if he'll follow you there, especially knowing his home roots are in Ohio and in the Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we haven't totally talked about, to be honest. I just wanted him to be focused on this week and this meet. So I don't have an answer. I mean, I'm sure I'll have an answer pretty quickly after this, but yeah, just wanted him to focus right now on the meet and qualifying for world championships. And so, we'll get to that piece. Like I said, it's difficult timing, and so just managing some of those things with the athletes was kind of the most important thing to me.
Absolutely. And I figured that would be the case, but I wanted to ask anyway, just to make sure. But can you tell us a little bit about just how you have managed this transition? Because again, we were talking about this off camera. It's like, like you said, the timing of it is never great, but to have this, this big announcement a week and a half out from world champ trials for a lot of these athletes, I'm sure that they're all going to be ready to go. And I'm sure you're going to be an integral part of that. But how have you managed balancing, your now new responsibilities as the head coach of Michigan, but also getting your Cal Bears ready to go in Indy?
Yeah. And I mean, this announcement was pretty recent. So in terms of, my role for Michigan, I mean, it's been pretty minimal so far. Just basically trying to connect with the team, and I actually had a Zoom call the other day with the current team, so that was amazing, just to get in front of them and kind of share my vision for the program and what's hopefully going to become their vision as well, as we kind of build the culture and do this together. But no, in terms of the Cal piece, I mean, the first piece was just being honest with the athletes. And so, when people asked me if I think the article broke on SwimSwam and some of the athletes asked me, hey, are you looking at moving to Michigan? And I said, I've interviewed and I'm going through the process. I didn't have an answer at that point, but it's always been important for me to just be honest. I mean, we are, we're dealing with athletes that are putting their trust in you. And so, I feel like if you've got that level of trust, then you've got to be honest about it. And they handled it great. I mean, they get it. They understand that this is a great opportunity professionally, but personally as well, to raise my family in Michigan, it's a great place. And putting 3 kids through childcare in California would be pretty pricey. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that factor in, but the team's been awesome, really supportive, and also they know that I'm going to give them their best. So, I'm here this week. This is my last week with the Bears, and they're going to have my full attention, and I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah. And like you said, I that's really great that they know that they can depend on you as long as you're there, because like you said, you were honest with them from the start, and you've built that line of trust, which as a human, for me, it's a refreshing thing to hear. So that's really cool. It's also, it's bizarre that like you have this swim meet and then you're out. Like, do you move to Ann Arbor pretty soon after you get back from Indianapolis?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a quick transition. We're trying to work through that right now. So yeah, the CEO of our house, my wife, is working through some of those details. So thankfully, yeah, I've got a rock star wife that's helping me out on that end, just so I can focus on what I'm doing here and the athletes. And so yeah, we're just kind of looking at what that process would look like. So how long that's going to take to move and trying to get quotes and looking for places to live and all of that. But yeah, I'm kind of leaving that in her court at the moment. So yeah, just so I can focus on what I need to do this week.
Yeah, that makes sense. Shout out to Leela.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
um,
my better half. Yeah.
so just in terms of, I'm just curious in terms of the response you've gotten, can you tell me a little bit more about just the response from the team and just the people who've reached out to you? Specifically, I'm curious if your buddies from Loughborough have reached out, just because I got to spend some time with them last year, and they were a great group of guys. But it came to mind because I'm just like, I'm sure that they are supporting you in this too.
Yeah, honestly, it's been overwhelming. I mean, the support that I've got from the current team, the alumni, just friends in the sport, and so yeah, I mean, there's probably a few people that I haven't got back to yet, that have texted me or emailed me, and so yeah, I'll get back to them here eventually. But no, I mean, it's been awesome. I've got friends in coaching. I think you referenced Loughborough, but Ian Hume, who is one of the head coaches there at Loughborough. He actually trained with Club Wolverines, so yeah, he's reached out and just said he's so excited that I'm going to be leading the program there, and then a lot of the alumni have reached out and current alums all the way back to, I mean, I got an email from John Abanchek, which was awesome, just to get his support and the usual, keep it moving. So I'm going to keep it moving, John. But yeah, it was great. I mean, Gus Borges, senior as well, reached out. There's been a ton, too many to name. So it really has been overwhelming, and I appreciate the support. I understand what this opportunity is as well. I mean, it's a storied program with phenomenal history. I mean, you're talking about Olympic gold medalists, NCAA team titles, some of the best coaches in our sport. I mean, just if you look at recent coaches, you've got John Abanchek, you've got Bob Bowman, you've got Mike Bottom. I mean, it's incredible. So I want to make sure that I'm honoring that legacy, and I want to continue that forward as well, and be successful in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of which, what does excite you about getting this opportunity to be just a head coach, period? I don't think you've been a head coach, at least not in the United States yet. And so just, what are some of the ideas that you're excited to implement, or part of your vision for a team that is completely under your leadership?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to lead a program and be a head coach. I feel like I'm ready for it. For me, it's always about people. So you look at any organization, whether it's in sports or in business or whatever, people are what makes an organization successful. And so I'm excited to put a team together here. And I'm already having conversations about the staff, as any coach would tell you, you've always got people in mind that you're going to bring with you if this opportunity arises. And so I'm working through that, but no, I mean, in terms of just being a head coach, I've had some great mentors. I've had some amazing programs that I've worked for. I mean, just here in the US, obviously Eastern Michigan, and then Indiana, and then, dare I say it now, as Michigan head coach, the Ohio State University. And so no, it's been a great kind of process and a great journey that I've been on, and I've learned a lot from the people I've worked with, and that's not just coaches. I mean, athletes as well. I feel like as a coach, I'm always mindful that you learn as much from the athletes as they do from you. So I think that now that I'm moving forward in this role, I'm just excited to implement some of those things. And as a coach, you're always going to make mistakes. I understand that, but really, you just have to learn from them. So I'm excited to do that.
I guess that's the biggest question is how are you going to reckon with the fact that you were at Ohio State for a few years at least,
Yeah.
and now you're the head coach of Michigan.
Yeah, I know that's a contentious topic, definitely. It's one of those things, and for me, I mean, Michigan was the first place that I moved to in the U.S., and so that does feel like home, that area. But yeah, there's been some people in the past that have worked on both sides of the rivalry, and someone was telling me the other day that Bowe Schembechler obviously worked at Ohio State under Woody Hayes, and then moved to Michigan, and the rivalry was pretty intense there. So if I can add a little bit of spice to the rivalry and swimming and diving, then I'm excited about that.
Rivalries are funny, but great. They make great competition, and I'm glad that in swimming, at least, collegiate rivalries seem to be, for the most part, fairly friendly outside of the competition itself, which I enjoy.
Yeah, I think it's all in good spirit, and I think it brings out the best in athletes. So you want competition, you want really good rivals, and just looking in the Big Ten. I mean, I've worked at both places that are arguably Michigan's biggest rival, and so it's exciting to go up against Indiana. It's exciting to go up against Ohio State, and that's going to bring the best out in me. It's going to bring the best out in my staff and the athletes as well. So it's going to be a fun process.
Having had a lot of experience in the Big Ten before, do you feel like there are significant cultural differences within the conference Big Ten compared to Pac-12?
I think so. Yeah, just a little bit the way you approach the season, and maybe this is more specific to Cal than other teams in the Pac-12. But Dave has been very mindful all along of we're focusing on international competition. We're focusing on the Olympic Games. We're getting athletes ready for the highest level in the sport, and so I think the success that Cal has had at the NCAA level is really a byproduct of the way Dave views the sport and what he's getting athletes ready for, and so I think that's probably the same on some teams in the Big Ten, but no, I think the Big Ten, maybe the conference meet, has got a little bit more pressure, a little bit more expectation placed upon it. Than in the Pac-12, and so that's sometimes difficult to navigate because you've got to understand what the priorities are of the athletic department you're working for, and what they deem a success, and that's going to factor into how you prepare the athletes. But the thing that's great, and the thing that I talked through with the administration at Michigan, is just they get the Olympic piece. They get that we want to be a team that represents at the highest level in the sport. And that's been the history of the program. So, in terms of my transition from Cal to Michigan, I think it's very, very much going to be the same mindset.
Nice. Yeah. That's great to hear. And I mean, obviously there's like cultural differences in the Big Ten, but I think that's something that maybe even sometimes I forget about is just how things can be different conference to conference in the NCAA, especially when you're talking about the Power Five, which is going to be even different, I think, in a few years with some shifts of schools, but
yeah,
different topic.
Who knows what conferences are going to be there and what are not. I mean, it's going to look a lot different. So I think you've got to be able to adapt and move with the times. And I think the biggest thing is we want to make sure that swimming and diving is protected, and that as a sport we move forward and we've got to be mindful of that. So I think the more we can work together and promote the sport and really make sure that there's a good future collegiately is the most important thing.
Well, I think you said it all, Matt. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you've got a lot on your plate right now, but I appreciate you sitting down to chat. Is there any parting thoughts or anything we missed before we sign off?
I don't think so. I mean, I think just for this final week, I'm going to say go Bears, and we're gonna give it everything to put our athletes in the best position for making the World Championship team, and I wish them the best of luck in the future beyond, and I'll be keeping my eyes on their results for sure, and then I'm just really excited to take this next step, and like I said, the Zoom call was awesome. I'm excited to get to know the current team at Micigan a lot better, and our incoming recruits as well, and just excited for that future. So go Blue.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.